Thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of Love Chronicles of a Christian Version. My name is Martinique Y. Brown. That's where you can find me here on Facebook. So today I just want to talk to you guys about my experience with online dating as well as the book Choosing God's Best by Raunikar. You can actually order this book online from Amazon. I've actually posted the link onto the description box right here at the top where people make comments and are joining. Hey Jill girl, how you doing from UAPB? So first things first, of course, is make sure that you send a friend request if we are not friends on Facebook, so you can be notified when I post new shows as well as post again new shows. Also, don't forget to subscribe to my Facebook channel. I'm sorry, not my Facebook channel, but my YouTube channel, Martinique the Storyteller, and that's all one word, and the link is in the description box as well. Hey Drea girl, how you doing? Man, I haven't talked to you in such a long time or seen you. I hope you're doing well though. So let's get started. So if you can just give me a thumbs up of who has did online dating before. I wish I could give y'all a thumbs up, but you know, obviously I have. But I want to just tell you guys the online dating sites that I've actually been on. So the ones that I've been on were eHarmony, POF, which is Plenty of Fish, Christian Singles, Tinder, Black Christian Dating for Free.com. Now that Black Christian Dating for Free.com, it is now called Christian Dating for Free.com. Hey Kevin. But I just want to tell you the pros and cons that I've realized from each one. So in eHarmony, to me, it really wasn't worth the money. They have a odd little system of not letting you see everybody that's on the site, but sending you specifically the individuals that they feel that you will be a perfect match for. And the individuals that they sent me a match for, I was like, are you serious? And POF. So I know a lot of people hate, on POF. They like, oh no, this is a piece of garbage. All these people are scammers and things like that. But, my thought is, if you don't like the site so much, why do you still have an active profile? And I would ask the guys that, because they're like, oh, these females on here, they just want you for your money. But they steady be on there. So I just never understood that. And so a lot of them would say, oh, it's just strictly because of boredom. But I liked POF just for the simple fact that it does introduce you to a lot of people. It introduces you to a lot of guys. In my situation, it introduced me to a lot of guys that I would have never came across. And I like that. You just have to be wise when you're on these sites. You just have to make sure that you get to know this individual before you start giving them your telephone number or letting them know where you live, things like that. Because a lot of these people on their profile, of course, they're going to say everything that you want to hear. But after you get done talking to them, then they are nowhere near who they say they are on their profile. But I still like the site because I feel like I'm pretty wise. I'm able to use discernment pretty well, and you can decipher who's real and who's not real on there. So I like the site. The other one was Christian Singles. I used that a couple years ago. Really don't remember it, but I just knew that after eHarmony, I wasn't gonna pay anymore for no dating site after the results that I got from there. But eHarmony does work for some people, just not me. So I tried Christian Singles. Christian Singles was okay. You know, that's the site that a lot of people were just saying, well, Martinique, I think you should go on that site. You know, you're a Christian, they're Christian. I'm like, but I wasn't going to pay for it. So that's another paying site. Tinder. All right, so Tinder is strictly physical. All it is just eye candy. You just swiping left or right. So to me, that wasn't the best site for me, just because it was just a matter of people just looking at my face, and it was either they're attracted to me or they're not attracted to me. You know, and you really couldn't get a good understanding of who that individual was, because many people don't create a very thorough profile of themselves. So I really didn't like that site too much, or that app too much. So Black Christian Dating for Free.com, now known as Christian Dating for Free. I like that site. I think it works because I can honestly say with this site, this is the most, it has the most guys that I've met that seemed like they actually had a serious relationship with Jesus Christ. So that's the pro of that site. The con of that site is so many of those guys, I don't want to say so many of the guys that message me are international. So so they live in different countries. Many of the people that were messaging me were from Africa, and I appreciate that. I love my African brothers. But I really would like somebody that lives in America. You know, even if they don't live in Florida, can you at least just live in America? So after my experience with that, it was cool, and I'm actually still on that site. But like I said, that was the first time that I've ever entertained any type of long distance dating with a person that I didn't know from my past, or somebody that I didn't get to know before we started living in a different state. And so I actually did start talking to this guy, and he lived in London, and he was a really nice guy. He was an African, but he moved to London. So like I said, he was a cool guy. But the thing was, we had a major time difference. Our time difference was about 6 hours from each other, and so that was the major downfall. And I feel like when you have a time difference like that, you really have to be succinct on your schedules and when you're going to talk, you know, if anything like that is going to ever work. So when I was entertaining international dating, hey Taekwon, but when I was entertaining international dating, I was really introduced to an app called WhatsAct. So now with this app, they don't charge you to talk on the phone to somebody that's international, or do a face-to-face conversation, you know, with the phone on there. But, you know, it does use up, I only have limited data, so it does use up your data. So like I said, with this guy from London, I don't know, the conversation was great in the beginning, and that's how it always is, you know, solid conversation for a good 2 weeks, and then it just dies down, and I just don't understand that. You know, it's like we have to be able to keep the conversation going, especially if we don't live in the same state or the same country, you know, because all you have is conversation, you know, to really get to know somebody. But that was just too soon. 2 weeks, come on now. So another thing that I was worried about with international dating was, I was just worried about that they wanted to just use me for my American citizenship. And I'm like, I'm just really kind of leery. I would ask questions such as, when do you plan to move to America? Or tell me about your previous relationships. And they would tell me about relationships with Americans, and that they wasn't trying to use me for, to become an American and things like that. And that's why I feel like it's so important just to take time to get to know that individual, to learn about them more, because of course they can tell you anything in the beginning. And then some guys would just get offended when I would start talking to them about their visa and citizenship and things like that. And I just felt like if you're getting so offended from the beginning like this, then you're not the right guy for me. Because if anybody knows me out there, they know I ask a lot of questions. And it's not so much to ask questions just to be asking them, but it's just another way that I get to know an individual. So I do want to say to you guys, if anybody's watching, just make sure you ask any questions that you may have that's on your heart and your mind. So another thing, like I said, was the time difference. You really just have to be on top of it, if you are going to try to make an international, any type of international dating work out. So like I said, I'm surprised at myself that I was willing to entertain international dating. And I still would, but I really just have to feel confident that the person is not trying to use me. I think another thing that I struggled with sometimes was guys that I would meet from different countries. We had a kind of a language barrier. Although they were still speaking English, their accent was just so strong. Their dialect was just so strong. I couldn't understand them. So in the beginning, I would just tell them, don't get offended if I ask you to repeat yourself. I just can't understand what you're saying, and I especially in the beginning, I need to know what you're saying. So that's how that was with my international dating experience. So for people that are doing online, hey cousin. So for people that are doing online dating, just be wise and use sound judgment. When you are meeting these guys and females as well. Don't do anything that you don't feel comfortable doing. Don't let nobody pressure you into anything that you don't feel comfortable doing. Me personally, I don't let them know where I work. I don't want anybody coming up to my job starting any foolishness. I also, in the very beginning, and I probably wait a month or 2 months. Probably 2 or 3 months before I ride in the car with somebody that I don't know. I always just meet the person at that location. And a lot of guys don't understand that. So, any guys that's watching this, just don't take offense to it. But, we really just, as females, we have to just be safe, and we have to make sure that we're putting ourselves in a situation that doesn't cause harm to ourselves. So if you really like that female, just be patient with her, and just let it happen naturally that she becomes comfortable with you. Also, I feel like this is common sense, but people do it for some odd reason. Don't let nobody know where you live. That's crazy to me. How in the world? It's like you're asking for something to happen. So just be smart about the things that you're doing and the stuff that you're telling people. Because you don't know this person. It takes so much time to get to truly know the character of an individual, and you have to be mindful of that. So I know for me personally, a lot of guys would sometimes get offended that I wouldn't divulge a lot of information to them. A lot of personal information, I guess more so about where I grew up, and as well as my family members, things like the specifics of names and stuff, because with the internet nowadays you can just Google somebody and you know everything about them. So I wouldn't let them know all that information in the beginning. And I get it, you know, I understand, because I ask 1,000,001 questions, and it's kind of like a red flag if they don't answer my questions. But I think it's just a matter of becoming comfortable with that individual, so that you can begin to trust each other. And so I just feel that it comes and it happens over time. And so you have to just allow that time to, that relationship to flourish and grow. And you can't rush it. But one of the major things that I do want to say to people that's doing online dating, don't ignore the small stuff. You know, so many times I would be able to find out, or to me, it was revealing if a guy had a girlfriend or a wife or somebody on the side when they didn't want to give their telephone number, you know, because I can log on the website of these dating sites, but I wouldn't install the app on my phone. And so I think it's just so important to know that people think that, you know, you're spending all day on the site. Hey, Keisha. But people think that you're spending all day on the site. And I like to multitask, meaning that whenever I'm driving to work, or, you know, when I'm driving home, I like to talk to that individual on the phone. You know, because, man, I'm telling you, these people, and I don't want to make it sound bad, but people can be anybody on the internet. But there's it's another connection that you get from somebody when you're actually talking to them on the phone. And that's another thing about communication, just being able to hear their voice, seeing if, you know, just getting to know the person. So I just felt that was a telltale sign, you know, when they didn't want to give their telephone number. And sometimes it was so funny, like this one time this guy would, me and this guy is, you know, talking back and forth online, and, you know, he's steady answering my questions, I'm steady answering his questions. And then I told him, you know, I'm actually driving home from work, send me your number and I'll give you a call. Never heard from the guy again. So you already know the deal. He had somebody on the side. So he pretty much just on the site to, you know, just to waste time or whatever. So another thing I just want to let people know is, you know, when you go out on an actual date with these guys, you know, really just get to know the person by just talking to them, and, you know, ask questions. I just feel like you can't ask too many questions, especially because you're just getting to know this person. And so you just have to be, you just got to be smart. Like, I just think it's so sad sometimes when I read these stories about males and females. Like, I read this story about this guy. He actually invited the girl, you know, that he met online to his house, and then eventually he got robbed, you know. And it's just so sad. He got robbed and he actually was killed. And I just think it's so sad how quick we are to think that we can trust somebody. And, you know, this is a stranger. You can't forget that. And we got some smooth talkers out there. And I'm telling you, that's why you have to. Another thing, y'all, pray about this individual, because I'm telling you, God will remove that individual from your life if this person is not for you. If God does not want you to waste time with this person, he'll remove him from your life. And I'm gonna tell you a prime example of this happened. So this wasn't online dating, but this was when I had just moved to Philadelphia. I'm telling you, y'all, I've lived everywhere. But when I had just moved to Philadelphia, so I don't enjoy working out, but I'm short, so I don't want to be overweight. So I moved to Philadelphia and I started working out at a gym. And so the member service guy, you know, the guys that signed me up for my membership, he actually, and he was cute. He was cute. He said, he was like, well, maybe we can work out one day. I'm like, okay. I'm like, okay, we can. So, the next day, you know, I prayed about this guy. I'm like, God, you know, and this is what I always say. I always told, let's act like his name was Jack. So I was like, well, God, what you think about Jack? You know, just remove him if you think he is not the guy for me, or if you don't want me to waste time with him. So I'm telling you, y'all, the next time I went to that gym, I didn't see Jack. And I asked the employees, I was like, what happened to Jack? They was like, oh, Jack wasn't meeting his numbers, so we had to let him go. I'm like, dang, God, I didn't think you was going to work that fast. But I'm telling you, you got to pray about these people, because some of these people God don't even want to waste your time with, and He know your God knows our temptations, you know, and God knows who's going to make us fall and who's going to help us grow. And so God is like, I'm getting this person out your life right now, because I know He's going to be a stumbling block to you, girl. So I'm thankful for God for that. You know, in the meantime, I was thinking like, dang, God, he was so cute. But anywho, but I do want to have a message for the guys. I do want to tell the guys something, you know, especially with online dating. The problem that I run into when I meet guys online is they never keep the conversation going. So like I said, I actually, I feel like I'm pretty decent at keeping the conversation going and a conversation starter. And so I can ask 1,000,001 questions, but I realize that I enjoy talking to a guy that knows how to ask me questions. And I'm telling you, I like the fact that even not like a potential boyfriend or anything like that, but when I do meet a guy that knows how to communicate and carry on a conversation, a decent conversation. So if you're a guy that don't know how to really carry on a conversation, the simplest thing to do is repeat the same question that young lady has asked you, so you can get to know her, because that's how a female feels valued, when you want to get to know her and it doesn't seem like she's just asking all the questions. So online, I just do a solid maybe 3 questions, and if I feel like if I see that you haven't reciprocated any type of question towards me, then I don't even ask any more questions. I mean, the conversation is over, because I don't feel like you interested in me. And so another thing is, what I don't like is when you can have now, you know, with online dating, it's messaging. So you're constantly messaging a person. And with messaging, it's just like text messaging. So let's just be realistic and about this, y'all. Let's act like we talking to a person face to face. If you have a conversation going back and forth, if you messaging a person back and forth, and then when you ask your last question, the person never answers the question until 3 hours later, 5 days later, and that's what happens online. They'll answer the question 5 hours later. You're thinking, what in the world? Can you just have enough courtesy to just let the person know, you know, I'm about to head out. You know, let's catch up on this conversation tomorrow. Say something. You know, I'm really big on the character of an individual, and I really do just look at the small things that people do, you know, because I want to be treated with dignity and respect, you know, and that same courtesy that I expect, I hope to be giving that to a guy as well. One of my pet peeves is, I hate when you're talking to a guy online and you can be consistently talking to this guy, it seems like you have a connection with this guy, and he never asks you for his number. I mean, he never asks you for your number. I think that the guy that I need in my life has to have confidence. You have to have confidence in yourself and not be afraid of rejection. If that's what's holding you back from asking the female for a number, then, you already sitting behind a computer. So all you got to do is type the question and then click send. It's not hard, and all the person can say is no. If anything, if you ask her for her number, then go back to my other rule. That tells you something about that female if she's not willing to give you her number. So now I can understand her thinking, okay, well, this is too soon. 3 days is too soon for me to give this guy my number. Okay. Give that girl a solid 7 days, because if she's not giving you her number after 7 days, then she trying to play you. I'm just trying to give you a tip. But for my situation, I'm okay after 3 days, but nah, you gotta step up. You gotta do it. You just gotta ask for the number. And see, I guess I'm so comfortable with giving out my number because I have 2 numbers. So my other number is associated to another place that I lived, so I don't mind giving that second number out. But yeah, they don't get the main number until we've been friends for like some years. But anywho, so overall, what I feel about dating online, I really enjoy dating online, and I'll tell you the reason why. So I really enjoy dating online just because I feel like you can get a snapshot of the person just by reading their profile. And I don't want to make it sound like everything that somebody says online is the truth, because it might not be the truth. But the guys that I've been talking to nowadays, I feel like they're pretty truthful in who they are online. When you see that they typed out some foolishness, then that's what you should expect when you talk to them on the phone. You gonna get foolishness. So it's kind of like it's no surprise there. So the other thing I like about it, it really does introduce you to a lot of people. It introduces me personally to a lot of guys that I've never that I wouldn't really have the ability to meet on a day-to-day basis. And like I said, you have an opportunity to meet people out of state as well as out the country, if that's what you're into. Another thing is really just have fun with it. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Don't be that type of person that never goes out, never does anything. But just have fun with it. Just use it as another medium of meeting individuals. Another great thing that I think people should really implement when dating online is we have so many other ways that we can communicate with individuals. So use those other communication tools, such as video chatting. Just make sure that you're talking to the person on the phone as well. But personally, I like video chatting. That allows me to see the person's face, and I really like to see people's facial expressions, and just to see, their mannerisms and things like that, because that makes me either more attracted to the person or lets me know if I'm really not attracted to the individual. One thing I will say is you must. One thing I always believe in is being upfront with the individual. I let these guys know that I do practice abstinence, and I let them know that I am a virgin, and that I really do need a guy that is strong in their faith, and that this is something that they can handle and still be faithful. That's the thing. But like I said, you have to be upfront with this individual and not waste anybody's time. You don't want to waste your own time, and you don't want to waste their time either. Another thing, don't let this individual use you. Don't let this person use you. Hey, Jennifer. Don't let this person use you as a texting buddy. If that's not what you're looking for, if that's not what you're looking for, then don't waste your time. And that goes for guys too. If you're looking for somebody to get married to and you see that this female is playing games, maybe she's not the one for you. But like I said, don't let them use you. So I really did. There was a point when I was doing online dating, and I really just got frustrated with it, just for the simple fact that I was meeting so many guys that proclaimed to be Christians, but their major struggle was abstinence. Hey, Venice friend. So their major struggle was abstinence, and so that just made me so frustrated. I'm like, but you said you're a Christian, so what's the deal? I'm like, have you ever tried to practice abstinence? They like, nah, I know I can't do it. I'm like, okay, but where is the sacrifice in it all? God does want us to, there's a sacrifice involved in being a Christian, and it's not going to be easy, but we don't live for right now. We live for heaven. And so that's the major thing. Is I just got so frustrated with meeting these guys, and I think the most frustrating part of it was they knew the Bible, they knew the Word of God, but when it came to that sex thing, then they was like, I'm sorry, I'm not the one for you. And I would be so disappointed. And so I think one of the times that I really got disappointed was I met this guy when I had just moved down here to Florida, and I'm telling you, y'all, he was gorgeous. So so he seemed so solid, he knew the Bible and everything. And so I did, and I want to be honest with y'all. So sometimes I feel like, okay, I do want to spend time with this person, and they say, oh yeah, I've read your profile, about you practicing abstinence and everything. And so then they'll say, okay, well, yeah, that's cool that you're doing that. All right, good. That's good. Good job. Good job for you, girl. Yeah, God is going to bless you. I'm like, okay, what about you? So what you doing? But he just told me, he was like, oh, nah, I don't believe that I'm supposed to be saving myself for marriage. I'm like, okay, where's that at in the Bible? That's all right. And it was just, y'all, I knew it was coming. So I knew pretty much he wasn't going to be calling me. And I think that's when you have to be comfortable with being by yourself, because like I said, so many guys that I've met, they're not willing to practice abstinence, and I mean that's really sad, and it's really disappointing. But like I said, I know, yeah, that's what I'll be saying, like, what? So but I think the thing is, I know why I'm doing this. I know that I love God, and I have to ultimately say I love God more than I love having sex with this guy. And so I mean, my thing was, I just really wanted to honor God with my body. And so it's hard, but that's the sacrifice we make. It's not going to be easy, but like I said, it's a part of my testimony. It's also just a way that I feel like, I can show people that the Holy Spirit will give you power to overcome sexual temptation. So I do want to just leave you guys with that on that section. Oh, but like I was saying, I got really frustrated. So I felt like, man, Martinique, you should create some type of club or social club or something like that. And so I thought about this club called Club RCCE. 613. And so what it stands for is Club Romans 613. And so I'm actually going to read the verse for y'all. So Romans 6:13 says, and do not go on presenting the members of your body to sin as instruments of unrighteousness, but present yourselves to God as those alive from the dead, and your members as instruments of righteousness to God. And that's really powerful to me. I know that I just believe that God created sex for marriage. And I do believe that we have so many resources and tools to learn how to live a lifestyle that's pleasing to God. But it's all about this flesh. You have to really just ask God to help you with self-control. And I'm telling you, God will just be blessed in it. So I wanted to create this club for individuals that practicing abstinence, as well as other versions out there, just because I was getting so frustrated with meeting all of these guys, and they proclaim in Jesus Christ, but their lifestyle really isn't matching up with that proclamation. And so it would be so great if there was an environment or some type of club where we were all on the same page. And I'm strictly using it as another dating tool. These individuals coming together to get to know each other and still practicing that same principle of sexual abstinence. Because I think the struggle that I would have is I would ask a guy, well, where are you with sex in your relationships? And they're like, well, I have sex, with the girls that I'm with. And so it kind of became me trying to convince them as to why they should be practicing abstinence. And honestly, I'm gonna throw this out there. If any guy is watching that's practicing abstinence, that's what I would like. I would like to meet a guy that is like, oh yeah, I'm practicing abstinence. Like, me too. But I do want to tell people this. I feel like people think that, okay, because you met somebody that is practicing abstinence, then, oh yeah, you guys should be together. No. We practice abstinence. That's the first thing where we are, we have a connection. But I can still not like the person, so it's different factors. That's just one. But it's kind of like you first have to, let's cross that bridge first before we start talking about other things. So y'all might be hearing about my club 613 pretty soon. So that's one thing. But the other thing that I want to start talking to you guys about is this book. So where's my book? So Choosing God's Best. So like I said, you can actually order this book on Amazon, and I actually have a link in the description box up top. So the name of the book again is Choosing God's Best: Wisdom for Lifelong Romance. It's by Raunikar, and it was published in 1998. So I'm reading from my notes, y'all, okay? So that's why I'm looking down. But the reason for the book is throughout his book, he explores the difference between dating and courtship and looks at some of the reasons why courtship will lead to the right marriage partner when dating so often fails. Do y'all believe that? And I don't want to make it sound like I believe everything that this book teaches, but I do think that, I think it's so important to start reading different resources in order to get different ideas of how to make your next relationship work. Because so many times we get in these relationships and we connect ourselves with people and then it doesn't work. So it has to be a better way. So let's figure out some of the tools that work in order to make these relationships work, that can lead into marriage and that's glorifying to God as well. So one of the things he talks about is that God created marriage between a man and a woman, and he quotes Genesis 2:18 in it. The other thing that he talks about is God's solutions for man's aloneness is marriage, not dating. So I can honestly say that I've never went down the route of doing courtship, honestly, just because I've never known how to do it, or I was never taught how to do it. But that's why I would love for us to just read this book together, so we can just learn some practical tips on how to do courting each other. Because I mean, I can honestly say, if that's what they used to do, maybe when we had during the times of our grandparents or great grandparents, you know, they were married for, man, our grandparents and great grandparents been married for 60, 70 years. Well, not 70 maybe, but 50, 60 years. And we really don't see that anymore. And so that's the type of marriage that I desire. So he has on his in his book, page 24 to be exact, 8 assumptions for courtship. So the first assumption is, and you guys, if you want me to email you my notes from the book, just simply type in your email address, as well as you can inbox me your email address. So the 8 assumptions for courtship is, number 1 is, we view the marriage relationship not as a contract between two people, but as a covenant between a couple and God. So now I have some friends. I have some solid friends that I really met in seminary, and like just really been able to look at their marriages and just really look at how as a couple they bring glory to God. And I'm not in a coveted way, but you know, I'm just envy of their relationships and their marriage and how they grow as a couple. And so that's honestly like what I want. And I think that that's one of the reasons why I haven't settled for just any guy or being in any type of relationship, just because I have seen some healthy relationships, and I do know that I have them to come to talk to if I have problems. That's why it's so important to have some type of godly couple in your life, that you can ask them questions and be open and honest. Hey, Monica Lovelace Givens from New Orleans. So I just think it just makes sense. Just like a mentor, or if you want to become a lawyer, it's wise to have a mentor that's a lawyer. So if I want to have a relationship that's healthy and I see and God-fearing, then I'm going to look to people that I see in my church, or, you know, even maybe if they're not a part of your church, but maybe a social group that you see is following Jesus Christ with their relationship. Ask them if they can be your mentoring couple, so you can find out, you know, some do's and don'ts, and they've been through it, so they would know. The second thing is, we decide not to date or shop around, but to save ourselves physically, emotionally, and spiritually for the one person God would have us to marry. So now I can honestly say, like, y'all already know, I've done the saving of the physical part, but the emotional and spiritual, I can say that I've connected myself with guys emotionally, not so much spiritually, but like emotionally. And I think that with me, the more that I get to know somebody, and the more that they share things with me that they haven't shared with somebody else, that's when I become emotionally tied to that person. So I know that sex binds a lot of unmarried people together. I think just that communication, that open communication with somebody really binds me with that person, if I enjoy their conversation. So I'm reading, for people that just joined, I'm actually reading to you guys, Choosing God's Best uh, 8 assumptions for courtship, and this is on page 24. So the third assumption is, while we wait for God to reveal his choice of a mate, we concentrate on being the right person instead of finding the right person. That was solid to me, y'all. Okay, so I'm a hypocrite because, I look at this guy and I'm like, you don't have a job. What have you been doing? I'm like, you don't have a house. What have you been doing? You got a roommate. What have you been doing? And y'all, that was me. I had a roommate. There was a point when I was laid off and I didn't have a job, and I don't have a house. So I think that's the hypocrisy within me. I'm expecting this guy to have all these things, and I don't even have it myself. So I first need to get myself together and present my best self to my future husband before he present his best self to me. So instead of me, I'm still praying for God to send me that guy, but in the meantime, hey Brock, but in the meantime, I can be preparing myself, for who God has, for me as well. And I think that that's the thing. I think that that's when I really become anxious, because I'm like, God, you got to reveal them to me. You got to reveal them to me. But when this God is doing some foolish stuff, it's a red flag. Maybe that's your revelation that that's the guy that's not the guy for you. And so that's why I'm saying you can't ignore the small things that God reveals to you, because I always believe that God will show you this person before you start falling head over heels over this female or male. God gonna show them to you. God gonna show you the true character of this person. Now, it's our decision to ignore those red flags of the person. So we can't blame God. God showed you. God showed you when that person was a liar. So, like I said, be wise, be smart. And God is gonna reveal that person to you. So the fourth assumption of for courtship is, once we have developed an intimate friendship with another person and believe they may be our intended partner, we enter a courtship with the understanding that marriage is the expected end result. So I think that with me specifically with that point, I've never gotten to that point yet. It's always been, okay, we like each other, we get along well with each other, and then that's when we start talking about, oh, well, how would you want your house to look? How would you raise your kids? We start going into that marriage type of conversation mode, bonjour. So we go into that marriage conversation mode, and I'm skipping a whole factor. I'm skipping the whole part of becoming friends with the person. And I think that that's the struggle that I have. I don't know how to become friends or be a friend to an individual that I'm attracted to. If you cute, it's hard. Now, if you somebody that I'm not attracted to, I could be your friend all day. But that's not what this point is saying. It says, once we have developed an intimate friendship with another person and believe they may be our intended partner, we enter a courtship with the understanding that marriage is the expected end result. So that's what Dr. Don is saying with that. And that's why it's so good for you to just order the book so you can read the details, and so you can get a better understanding of each point. And like I said, you're welcome to use that link that's in the description box to order your book. The fifth point is, because we enter a courtship relationship with a view towards marriage, we may have to delay considering courtship until we are in position to marry and have laid a responsible foundation. So now I hear a lot of guys say this stuff. They say, well, I want to have this, that, and the other before I get married. And I get that. I understand it. But if we playing house, if we doing everything married couples do, then what you saying? You just saying you don't want to get married yet. So that's pretty much what you saying. That's what I'm saying, y'all. That's what I'm saying. Don't waste your time with somebody that is not on the same path as you. So I think that would be the hard thing, though. But I guess you two would be waiting on each other and you're still growing as a couple, but you're not going to get married until you guys have laid that foundation. If somebody has a different understanding of that, then, please type it in, because I'm learning just like y'all. So the 6th point is, we begin a courtship with the full knowledge and approval of both sets of parents, or if parental involvement is not possible, a spiritual accountability couple. Like I said, y'all, I haven't gotten this point. I haven't gotten this far in the relationship. And so I'm definitely going to be using some of these tools that he is teaching in this book, because I just want to see if it works. Like I said, I want to try something different. I've been trying different things that specifically hasn't worked, and I don't want to say that at this point in my life I would have been married if I would have done things differently, but I do know that God has a plan for me, and I'm still praying that God has the one for me as well. So I think like I said, I think it's wise to have some type of couple that can mentor you and really just help you to see the true side of this individual. Like they're saying, if you don't have both parents that can be involved in both of you guys' life, then an accountability couple will be definitely worthwhile investing and finding as well. And you want it to be, if you can, find a Christian accountability couple, because that will really help you to give you sound advice on when you're struggling with different things. So number seven of 8 assumptions for courtship is, in the early stages of courtship, we begin by spending only limited amounts of time together and very little time one-on-one alone. So again, I'm gonna read that. It says, in the early stages of courtship, we begin by spending only limited amounts of time together and very little time one-on-one alone. I think that that's wise. I know that I actually had a friend who recently got married. She was 46 years old, and she has been practicing sexual abstinence for about 20 years. Hopefully I can get her on the show one day. But she would, her and her now husband, they will only spend so much time on the phone together. They will only spend so much time one-on-one together. And that was simply because they knew that because they were beginning to like each other even more, and then it was growing to loving each other, that the more they spend time with each other, the more that they do want to have sex with each other. The more that they do want to, go down that path of maybe fondling or, maybe kissing too long that leads them to having sex. And so they was really just trying to maintain their purity during that time. And so you really just have to do what you need to do in order to maintain your purity as a couple. And I think that some people that may have never set those boundaries in their relationship, it is difficult, but it's possible. That's the thing. It's possible. And, I always believe that anything that we're doing for God, He's going to glorify it and He's going to bless it. So I just challenge y'all to take that risk, to follow Jesus Christ with your relationship and to honor him in your relationship as well. And just see what God will do to it. Another thing is number 8. It says, we recognize that the engagement phase of courtship is usually shorter than most engagements in a dating relationship. I can firsthand say that is so true. So I would hear that one of my friends from seminary just got engaged. I'm telling you, that girl is getting married 5 months later. They do not play around. When they was practicing sexual abstinence and they knew that this was the one for them, what? Take how long for an engagement? Come on, they don't wait for nobody. They go ahead and set that plans for that caterer. They also get those plans for that that place that they gonna have the wedding, and they get it done because they know they love this person. They know that the flesh is weak, so they don't play around with that stuff. So the other thing that I want to read to you guys before the end of the show is in Dr. Raunikar's book, he actually has a story of a 35-year-old woman that implemented courtship into her relationship after a 13-year failed marriage. Some of the things that her and her new boyfriend implemented in their relationship was, so the first thing was they used the accountability couple. So we've already talked about that and the importance. The second thing was they actually set up boundaries to keep their relationship from moving too fast. That's something that I definitely need to work on, because I just feel like if I enjoy the company of somebody, not saying like we're going to get married tomorrow, but if I enjoy the company of somebody and I enjoy our conversation, then I've always had that mindset of I don't want to waste time in I guess I don't want that guy to use me to think that he can lead me on just being his girlfriend for 15 years. You know, either you looking to marry within like a year or 2 years, or you not. You know, I don't feel like it takes that long to recognize if you're compatible with somebody, especially when you praying to God about that individual. So like it says, number 2, set up boundaries to keep the relationship from moving too fast. That's, I think, another thing that the accountability couple would help you implement as well. So number 3, it says, begin courtship with seeing each other for 1 time per week for 3 hours, and would only talk on the phone once a week for 1 hour. And so I feel that the reason why you have to get really specific with your time, with how long you spend with the individual and how long you talk to a person on the phone. I'm telling you, y'all, the flesh is weak. I mean, I think that so many times we think that we think that, oh man, I'm so strong, but we're really not. Like, I listen to people's stories, I listen to my friends' stories, and they just like, man, Martinique, you know, one thing led to another. I'm like, what's that one thing? That one thing is always because we spent 10 hours alone with one another, you know? And so it's just a matter of you really have to be realistic of what your temptations are, as well as what you can handle and what you can't handle. And it's okay, you know, because we all have these struggles, you know, but that's why that's why I don't date a person that's not a Christian, because I already need somebody that's on the same page. We already know this not going to be easy, but we need to be able to work this thing out together so we can have a successful relationship, and a relationship that truly honors God. So you do have to get real specific. Now, I never got real specific like that, you know, but like I said, next boyfriend, we gonna try to implement some of this stuff, okay? And so we gonna work together, because it's gonna work. Oh, but the fourth thing that they did in their relationship was they wrote letters to each other. I think that is so cute. We are in such a technology world that we just lose the intimate connection with somebody with texting. And texting is great. I love texting. But, like, do you know how much thought goes into actually writing a letter to somebody? So that's one of the points that I really would love to implement, because in the midst of them, like, because remember, they were only spending one time per week with each other for 3 hours. So in the meantime, you know, you can be writing that person letters. Do you know how sweet that is? Because it's kind of like, we don't need technology to keep this relationship going. We don't need all this stuff to make our relationship last. As long as we got a male man or a male woman and a stamp, it's gonna work. But I just think that that's another way to be intimate with your girlfriend or your boyfriend. Hey, Marquita. This is another way to be intimate with your girlfriend or boyfriend without being physical. And so I think that we need to keep in mind that you have to be very creative, you know, when you are trying to maintain purity as well. And we ain't talking about writing no dirty letters. Because remember, we want to maintain purity with our body as well as our mind. So the fifth thing that this couple implemented when they started courting with each other, they used friends and family members to detect red flags. Now, me personally, I'm not going to bring you in front of my nieces and nephews and my sister and brother the first month, second month, and third month. You know, because like I said, when I'm dating online, some of these people are crazy. So I don't want them to try to get back at me by going after a family member. So we're going to have to be, you know, talking for a good little while. Let me use discernment. Let me pray about you. Make sure you're not crazy. And then I'm gonna introduce you, you know, to a family member. But I just think introducing them to a friend or family member, because that, remember, you lovey-dovey with this person, but that family member, they're going to be able to see some of the things that, you know, you just letting slip through the rearview mirror. And so they're going to be able to tell you. And the thing is, be wise about it. Remember, your friends and family, they are there to protect you. They're not there to say, oh, no, they're not there to just keep you alone forever. You know, they want the best for you. So, it is mindful to think about and to consider, you know, some of the things that they're telling you about this person that you're introducing them to. So lastly, the sixth thing that this couple implement was they had a 10-week engagement. Like I said, these people move fast. They don't play around. When they realize that this is the one that God has created for them, they don't do that 2-year engagement stuff. They work. But those are some of the things that I just wanted to share you guys on my show today, Love Chronicles of a Christian Virgin. And I'm so happy that you guys were able to come on the show and watch. Be sure to tune in next week when I will be, what did I say I was going to be talking about? Well, I'm going to have to message y'all because I'm sorry, I don't remember right now. And I didn't write it down. How do I handle temptation? That's what I'll be talking about next week. But make sure that you visit my my description box. Make sure that you subscribe to my YouTube channel, Martinique the Storyteller. Click on that subscribe button so that you can be notified when I post new shows. And then on my YouTube channel, Martinique the Storyteller, you'll be able to catch up on this show's episodes, past episodes, as well as watch some of my previous shows as well. And don't forget to order your book, Choosing God's Best, so we can talk more about it next week. I am on here Facebook Live every Monday with the show Love Chronicles of a Christian Version, every Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern. And the name is under Facebook page, Martinique Y. Brown, like the color. So I will hope to talk to you guys later and see you guys next week as well. Like I said, don't forget to type in any questions that you have, and if you would like the notes, make sure that you inbox me your email address and I'll email you those notes as well. Or you can simply put your email address in the comment field and I'll send you those notes promptly. I hope you guys have a great remainder of the day, and I hope you have a great week, and I will see you guys later. Bye-bye.